Hello and welcome to this week's Habitat Chat, and I have a great topic that I want to talk about today. This won't be quite as long as some of my chats, but it is a good one, and especially what a lot of people went through last year. And what our topic today is, your food plot failed, now what? Now it's hard, but before I get into this too far, we do these Habitat Chats. We're doing one a week, and if you want to see all of them, I've done a ton of great different topics. They're all available on our website at magnetoutdoors.com. Click on Habitat Chat. You can see all of them. But today's topic, we're talking about your food plot failed, now what? Last year was a rough year. We had no rain, and honestly, it doesn't matter what seed you're planting, what you're doing. If you don't have rain, I don't care what you have. You're going to have a tough season. So, but I don't want guys, what the goal of this is, we didn't give up. We didn't go back and say, okay, hey, nothing grew. It was a plot fail. What are some of the things that we might be able to do? And there are things you can do, and we did something last year that 100% saved our season. I'm going to break that down. So everybody's used to seeing my food plots look like this, right? Up to my kneecaps, just beautiful, lush green food plots. Was not the case last year. This was a 2 year ago, and we kind of had a dry year 2 years ago, but we got just enough rain at just the right time, and the plots blew up. But we had a worst case scenario last year where we planted, rain was in the forecast, we planted, we got that initial growth, and then we didn't get rain for 30 days. Worst case scenario. I'd have rather the seed just sat there with no rain for 30 days and getting a little bit and getting germination. So it was a worst case scenario last year, and my plots certainly did not end up looking like this. Now, if somebody calls me and they say, hey, my plot didn't grow, okay, my first question is going to be, I think you know what's coming, you hear me talk about it all the time, did you soil sample? What did it say? If you tell me no, you didn't soil sample, right away I'm like, I don't know that I really can help you. And that's not me trying to be a jerk. I try to help as many people as I can, but I don't even know where to begin, because if we had the soil sample and we know the pH was good, we know all the levels were good, organic, everything was good or adequate, now it's a different story. Now we can start troubleshooting. We can say, okay, what went wrong? Did we plant the seed too deep? Did we do this? Did we do that? Did we not get any rain? What was it? But if we don't start with that soil sample, it is really difficult to know what went wrong with your plot. So I'm begging you guys, those guys that aren't soil sample every year. Because if you're going to call me and you're going to talk about your plot, and if something didn't go right, that's going to be the first question I ask. And if you tell me you didn't do it, there's not a lot I can do to help you at that point. We can guess and maybe say, oh, maybe this happened. You think, I think my pH is good, but I don't know. It was good 3 years ago. You need the soil sample. So again, that's my plug, magnetoutdoors.com. That's why we offer our soil samples lower than anybody else, because we want you to get them. We're not making money off them. They're $7.25, the most affordable laboratory soil sample out there. There's really no excuse. Go get a soil sample, and that's where we'll start. But that, most of the time is my guess when guys do have plot failures. If we take the rain out of the equation and things like that, you had rain, it's going to be something to do with your soil. What were those levels? Where was the pH at? All those kinds of things. So if you get that soil sample, we're going to know that. The next thing that I wanted to talk about was no rain. Rain is the biggest one. And like I said, it doesn't matter what magic bean seed you plant. If you don't have rain, it's not going to grow. And that's what we had last year. So that is another really common reason that a food plot may have failed. Lastly, and I learned this the hard way, and I encourage you guys, in our food plots for whitetail group, I see a lot of guys asking herbicide questions. What should I spray? And I see some really bad advice. I see some good advice. But you need to be really careful about what you're spraying. And I'm going to tell you a story of what I did one year. I had clethodim and I don't know if I'm going to say this right, imazepine, which is for broadleaf weeds, and I was spraying my clover plots. And I just put them in the tank together, and I had a bunch left over, and I had a plot that I wanted to plant later that year, and I'm like, I got all this, I'm going to want to kill this anyway, I'm just going to spray this, and it's going to kill the grass, it's going to kill the broadleaves, zip, boom, bam. Well, that's what I did, and then I, came back, and it killed everything, and I came back, and I did this, and I planted, and I think it was my first ever plot failure. The plot didn't grow, and I was mind-boggled. I could not figure out why that plot didn't grow. And it was a few years later, I was doing a podcast with a guy, and we started talking about residuals and different chemicals. And that happened to come up, and in that imazaprine, I know I'm not saying that right, whatever that one that I sprayed, it had like a year-long residual, at least 6 months. And right there, it's like a light bulb went off. It's like, that's why my plot didn't grow. So that's another common reason sometimes that guys, when they say, hey, I had a plot failure, that maybe they sprayed something on there that had a residual and nothing was going to grow. And of course, there's a lot of other things. I saw a guy the other day, using a drill, and, one seed that he planted, like sorghum, grew really well, but then his cowpeas didn't grow at all. My guess is he drilled it too deep, is probably what happened there. So there are other things that you can do, but these are three of the most commons. Number one being you didn't take a soil sample, you have no idea what your pH levels are, no rain, obviously, and then spraying a chemical that might have a residual will definitely not let your plot grow that year. So those are some possibilities of what possibly went wrong, but in order to really figure that out, start right there. So last year I showed this picture. This was a plot, and we planted a brassica blend in here. It was actually had some winter wheat and oats in it, and it didn't grow at all. But you can see I have a beautiful lush green plot. So what we did and what saved our season, we had the best food in town. We came in and it got late. I think it went a month without rain. We saw rain in the forecast. We knew the plot failed. I came in, it was still bare dirt, nothing grew. So we came in with a drag harrow, we drug it, we seeded some of our sidekick, which is winter wheat and oats, and boom, it didn't grow like it usually did, but we had the greenest plots in town, and we shot 2 of our biggest bucks. I shot one on a buck. We had one of our most successful seasons last year. I mean, we totally turned it around by saving our plots, by going in, they only had like maybe 3-4 weeks of growing season, but it was just enough to get that plot green and give the deer something to eat. And that was my dad's biggest buck that he shot, and I shot this dandy mainframe 8-point last year on plots that we did that. Absolutely saved our season. So it's real easy to do, when you have a plot that failed and you get up against it and you don't think anything's going to grow. Simply go in there, drag it with a drag harrow, rough that dirt up a little bit, wait right before rain, go in and seed our blend like Sidekick. Simply Scatter is another great blend that you can go in and seed. It has some quick growth products that are going to grow in less than ideal conditions. So that's kind of our go-to, is our Sidekick, which is our oats and winter wheat, or our Simply Scatter, and go in and just seed that, pray for rain, and you get it. You're going to have something green to hunt over. So again, saved our season. And last year when everybody had a drought and their food plots failed and didn't grow, we had one of our most successful seasons. So I'm gonna break this down more on our website. So again, this is the shorter version for social media, but if you want to watch me really break this down, go to our website at magnetoutdoors.com. If you're looking to take your property to the next level, I get a lot of guys calling me and they say, hey, I want to do the things that you're doing. I've been doing property consulting for over 6 years now. I have hundreds of clients, but reach out to me. My number is 717-304-2770. My email is jason@magnetoutdoors.com. I'd be happy to talk to you about what it is that I do and how I've helped a ton of property owners take their property to the next level. Lastly, again, here's our website, and I'll get the marker out here. I got to get it out at least once today. Go to our website, click Habitat Chat. You can go see all of our different topics at magnetoutdoors.com. It's getting that time. We're getting up close to season. We encourage you. We hope you'll give us a try this year. We sold out of almost all of our products last year, and we're hoping to do the same again. So we encourage you. It's that time to get your food plot seed, and soon time to be preparing those plots to plant. So be careful what you're spraying. Make sure hopefully you've soil sampled and limed accordingly, and hopefully we get the rain and you're going to have a great season. So if you want to watch more on this topic, go to magnetoutdoors.com, click on Habitat Chat, and we'll see you next week. Okay, so you saw the shorter version on social media. I'm going to break it down a little bit. These were the 2 products last year that are kind of my go-to if you have a plot fail for whatever reason it might be. Like we talked about, if you planted your seed too deep, or you just had no rain, you didn't get the growth that you wanted, Sidekick is a great blend to just go out, drag it a little bit, rough it up, seed it. Same thing with our Simply Scatter blend. You're going to get some green to hunt over. And you know what? Sometimes I've noticed when you have a really bad year, if you can get something to grow, you got the best food in town. We've had some of our best seasons. So don't just bail on your food plots because they possibly failed. There are ways that you can go and get a little bit of growth before the end of the growing season. I talked about this already, but I just show this to show you, the leaves are down. You can see fall's already lined. Look how green that plot was. That was dirt, nothing but, it was dry, it was dusty. We went in, we seeded it, and you can see we didn't get the big brassicas or the big tall growth, but the deer absolutely hammered it. This was my dad's buck right before impact. Just an awesome, awesome hunt. But I look back on the things that we did, and what really saved our season was not giving up on those food plots. So this is just you come in, I just take a little drag harrow, is what I like to use. All you need to do is rough that dirt up a little wee bit. Even if you have some weeds and stuff that grew at that point, it's okay. You don't have to worry about coming in and spraying. Just lightly drag it, rough it up a little bit, and then simply seed it. Those are the two steps. And try and do it. Look at the weather. Try and time it right before it rains because it's going to be laying right top of the ground. But try and time it right before it rains, and it can really, really be effective. Again, I already said this, last year was disastrous, right? A lot of people said, man, you picked a rough year to start a food plot seed company. And it's like, yeah, but most people are understanding it doesn't matter what food plot seed you have. If you have no rain for a month, there's nothing that's going to grow. And that's really what we had. But we took it, we turned it around. We had one of our best seasons ever. And that all just came from not giving up on our food plots. Again, like I said before, this is a little bit shorter habitat chat. The moral of the story, when you're in it, and I'm available to talk to all the time. You're not seeing the growth that you want. Now, if somebody calls me 2 weeks in and they're panicking, I always relax. Just wait and see. But you get 4 or 5 weeks, you have very little growth, you've had no rain. There's probably an issue. And so I'm happy to talk to guys. Feel free to call me, email me, whatever. If you want to talk about your property again, I'd love to come out and take a look at it and help you out. So again, my property consulting, my number is 717-304-2770. My email is jason@magnetoutdoors.com. And click on Habitat Chat, go to magnetoutdoors.com. Whether you're buying food plot seed, hey, we're in it. Like right now is when the phone is starting to ring off the hook. Everybody's going to be ordering their seed. We hope you'll try our blends. But you can go there. All that's available. But our Habitat Chat, go click on that. You can see all of our different topics. And I'm excited. And I don't know if it's going to be this next one or the one after it. I'm going to be bringing in one of my property consulting clients, and we're going to be breaking down his property and why we did the things that we did and what he's seen after, I think, 2-3 years of implementing the plan that I gave him. He's on some really, really big bucks, and I'm excited to have him. So going to be a little bit different format. Going to have somebody here to really break down his property. But today was all about those failed food plots, and I thought based on last year, this would be a really good topic because I know it was dry all across the country. Moral of the story, don't bail on those plots too early. Simply going in, roughing it up, seeding a little bit right before rain can save your season. So thank you all for joining us on Habitat Chat, and we'll see you next week.